OpenAI's Stargate data center project is getting a $3 billion investment from Blue Owl Capital. Blue Owl is best known as one of Wall Street's biggest private lenders, but it is taking a slightly different approach to backing data center projects. Joining me now to discuss that is Miles Kruppa, our AI and finance reporter who broke that story today. Miles, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Akash.
So let's talk about this scoop that you published this morning. What do we need to know about this deal with Blue Owl and Stargate?
Yeah, so, Stargate was kind of pitched as this really big company to create computing infrastructure for OpenAI. And it's actually kind of turned into a lot of different individual data center projects that are being financed individually. And so what's happening here is Blue Owl is investing about $3 billion of equity in this data center in New Mexico that's being built, where Oracle, which has a huge contract from OpenAI, Oracle will be the tenant at that data center, and then OpenAI will be renting computing power from Oracle. So this Blue Owl investment is the equity, and then they're also going out and raising $18 billion in loans from a group of banks.
So the system of these deals is kind of interesting to me because people might think, oh, Blue Owl investing in OpenAI, which is not the case at all. This is a very nuanced structure that these data center projects take on. Can you explain to us the difference here between Blue Owl investing in OpenAI versus Blue Owl investing in this particular project?
Yeah, that's right. So basically, the project is its own entity, its own kind of company that's separate from OpenAI or Oracle. Blue Owl is going to be the equity investor here. So they get the potential upside if this data center project remains really valuable over the long term. And then they also get paid, from the lease payments that Oracle will be making after the lenders get paid. So it's a bit different from investing in a startup, but there is still, potential for big upside here for Blue Owl.
And the reason that these data center projects are structured like this is because they're largely sort of real estate plays. Why is this beneficial?
That's right. Yeah, they're sort of in between real estate and big infrastructure projects like oil and gas pipelines and wind and solar projects. So they're financed in a very similar manner as those other projects are. The funding that's going in right now is going to cover basically the construction costs, and so that's sort of funding for the next 3 to 5 years. And then once it's up and running, it'll probably get refinanced again. So this is think about this as kind of funding the upfront costs of building a really massive data center.
So Blue Owl making an equity investment. Blue Owl, of course, as you said, it's a company that is mostly known on Wall Street for its private credit plays. Is this part of a larger trend, private credit companies making more equity investments in the AI era?
Yeah, I would say overall, some of the biggest firms on Wall Street, Blackstone, KKR, Apollo, they're going deeper and deeper into data centers as this AI boom sort of continues on, and Blue Owl is no exception. And they're maybe even one of the sort of fastest growing players in the data center space. They bought this data center investor called IPI Partners for about $1 billion. That transaction closed in January, and they've been really busy ever since. In addition to this deal, they've done a huge one with Meta for this data center Meta is building in Louisiana. They invested $2.5 billion in equity for that. And they've also invested in another Stargate project that's being developed by Crusoe for Oracle and OpenAI. So they're very quickly becoming kind of one of the main players here.
And last question before we let you go. Anytime a reporter comes on to tell us about a new development with Stargate, we have to ask the question, how is the project going overall? Is it on track? How far are they? What's your sense on how things are going on the ground?
Yeah, well, I would say it's taken a bit of a different shape than maybe what we first thought it would look like. And that was a bit of a pivot. But it does seem like OpenAI is well on its way to securing what it says could be about 10 gigawatts of computing power. They're standing up sites here in New Mexico and Texas, Wisconsin. They're working on other sites with SoftBank, which is a big part of Stargate. So while maybe it isn't exactly how it was first laid out, they are managing to secure, pretty significant data center sites for Stargate, and as we just reported, securing the funding for them.
Right. Well, as with most things in AI, I think things always do take a different shape than was initially expected. Miles, I want to thank you for coming on. It's great to chat with you, and we'll have you back on the show again soon.